where do you want to start at?
I want to start say that we're both talking today because I think we're both really big fans of music.
Oh, this is very much truth. You know, since Dad was born, Dad showed me, you know, like new wave, like Erasure and stuff. You know, so free indoctrinated with like, you know, the alt kind of stuff.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of an age difference. You are 17 years younger than me, so
Yeah, you're right. You can be like my uncle, even my dad.
the love you have for music comes, I think, a lot from your dad.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it relates a lot to me. I mean, you say Erasure, and that's 80s music.
Oh, very dude.
So it's like a little bit before me, because I mean, I was a baby at that time. So.
Yeah, just a little infant, little fetus.
Yeah, but I think that you and I are both like really big fans of Corpus music.
Oh,
just
that's
music
for sure, dude. Yeah,
in general.
yeah. Like local music stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I gotta ask, do you remember like your first music outing, like as a child, or like?
Yeah. So with me in the music scene, it's a little bit different. My parents weren't. I just wasn't exposed to local music, so I know Bayfest was probably my first like really exposure to like bigger music. So for me, that's where it was. And my first big concert was in the '90s. It was George Strait.
Really?
And San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. It was a big festival. It was a bunch of artists.
Yeah, yeah. I think I told you before I'm from Alice and stuff. So like our equivalent of Bayfest was Fiesta Bandana and stuff, and like it was like in this area and stuff, but it was like basically like under a bridge, something like that. So like it was like a talent show, local musician, like a lot of like Tejano artists, something like that. People would call it like, you know, who's gonna win the Dig show this year for like the talent competition and stuff. So that was our Bayfest, but like.
Fiesta Bandana?
Yes, Fiesta Bandana.
Never heard of that in my entire life.
I know something you want me, you know.
Is it still a thing?
Oh God, no! It like departed like years ago. And
like
shit.
Bayfest is not.
Yeah, and that's like I can relate to your stuff because like Fiesta Bandana was our local thing, but it's long gone and stuff. But you know, as a child, I remember going to get like legal fireworks and stuff like that at Fiesta Bandana.
Fiesta Bandana. So I wouldn't say. I guess you could call us groupies because we're not really musicians.
Oh,
we're just
God,
people who enjoy the music and the people in the scene. So I wanted to talk about past, present, and future with you.
Let's go.
So I guess where I came from and where you came from, how we ended up here. Can I start with me, or do you want to go first?
Nah, you go first. It's all good.
So yeah, I wasn't really in the music scene here. I had some friends in high school that were in a band. I think they're called Fenton, and my only really exposure. At one point, I saw Softy at the surf club. I went to UT, moved away, went to Austin. I came back. When I came back, I met some guys in a band that I started helping out. In college, I actually interned for a marketing company in LA called Deep Marketing that did some big bands and stuff like that. I don't know how they led me on to an internship with Tommy Boy Records, which is a hip hop record company that was big in the '90s.
Yeah, familiar with that, of course. Not really.
Queen Latifah, De La Soul, House of Pain. They were a big label at one point. And I got to rep them, and I got to go to some of the big festivals and stuff that some of the artists were playing. But I ended up back in Corpus, and I met these guys in a band called Free State, and now I know Abrasion, which was a big band in the '90s. And they were a metal band, and basically I connected with a couple guys in the band that were doing some stuff. One of them is Hector Juarez, who's my best friend today, and he and Rene Hernandez were booking shows and recording, and they were using a name called Equalize. So I liked what Hector was doing, and me and him started booking shows together at Zeros, and we started using the Equalize name that Rene was using in recording, and we kept booking, and then a guy named Jesse Leva, who was in Abrasion, he said, I like what you guys are doing, and do you want to do something bigger? And we talked about recording studios, so we opened up a recording studio in Parkdale Plaza and recorded a bunch of bands there. I ended up putting out a couple of compilations, and it was a big dream of Jesse's to open a music venue. So that's how Equalize Live became a thing, is that we're basically promoting shows. At one point, I was booking shows at 8 different venues at the same time, and I'd taken over all the booking at Zeros. So that's how Equalize basically came about. Before I opened the venue and everything, it was just that I moved back and I found these guys and I really liked what they were doing, and I really dove into the Corpus music scene. And with me, I went to Zeros, and it was like a venue known for metal, and I like all sorts of music, just everything. So I started booking hip hop at Zeros, and female punk and just pop punk, just different things, you know. And that was a venue that really showed me that, you know, that it's a venue known for just a certain type of music, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People will come out and they'll support like any kind of music, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, since like, you know, I was younger in the spectrum and stuff back then, obviously, in Alice, I remember like hearing about like my older friends, my uncle's friends, like doing shows there and stuff. And like Alice, we didn't have like a metal venue for a long time, but we did have this one called Downtown Riot.
Downtown Riot,
like in downtown. Ribbon had, I forget his last name. Anyway, so we owned it and stuff. So I knew of Downtown Riot. Some of my older friends, my uncle's friends, went to the Downtown Riot a lot. But like there wasn't like it was only there for like 3 or 2 years and stuff, but like music was like prevalent in Alice, but like that's like booked like the whole Casey Hall shows, like booked the park and stuff, you know, and just so I knew about that kind of stuff happening. I didn't go to some shows, but I remember like them happening, but like it wasn't until like I think around like high school that I remember like actually like, you know, experiencing like those kind of like hardcore shows and stuff. But my quirky story is one of those like hardcore bands, something like that. I was in drumline at the time in high school. My section leader, John, he was a friend with this guy named Marcos Leal of like Shattered Sun and stuff. So he booked, so like he's like, oh, let's take a Shattered Sun player like our lock-in. So like he got Shattered Sun to lock-in and stuff, and like that's my first exposure to seeing like heavier sides of music and stuff live in the local like area, and like my first mosh pit I ever saw like in a cafeteria in high school.
Cafeteria.
Yeah, I kid you not, it was like my first mosh pit, and I was like, wow, this is happening right now, like after hours. And that's how I got to local music and stuff.
That's so funny.
Do variety. It's like I always tell it to like my workers, my friends I just met for the first time. It's a good icebreaker and stuff, you know, to show them I'm about that life still.
Yeah.
Despite all the years, about that life.
All these years.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years for me too.
Yep.
So I don't have a long history in Corpus, in the Corpus music scene. Despite what you may think by researching and looking, I wasn't in Corpus that many years. I moved back from Austin. I was going to UT, and then I moved back to Austin in 2004, and I started Equalize at the time. But basically, I was trying to run it from there. And the history of ending of Equalize is just I had a full-time job in Austin, and basically was supporting Equalize and was keeping it running. And you know, like most music venue owners, I was leasing. And the lease came up, and it was just I had a lot of debt I accrued over the years that I was trying to, you know, keep it going. Equalize always DIY, you know, everything I did was month-to-month shoestring budget. And I just decided, talking to the owner who wanted to up it a little bit, that I couldn't run it from a different city. If I still live in Corpus, I probably would have kept it going, but just my life was a different path at that point.
Yeah, like different roads and stuff, different folks, that kind of stuff.
So for the years Equalize was open, it was a great time in my life, but unfortunately it came to an end just because I, you know, wasn't able to come down there. And when I was, it was just like staying at a show at 2 in the morning, waking up at 5 in the morning, driving back to Austin to be at work at 8 in the morning.
Wow.
I was still in my 20s because they said we're one of the youngest venue owners ever to get a liquor license. That
exactly, yeah.
I just had a, you know, using my degree and working a job up there, and it was a lot of a headache at the time. Just it was financially, it was hard to keep it open if I wasn't there.
And like a lot of juggling to do and stuff.
I always did. You know, the majority of the booking was, you know, besides for promoters that came in, it was mostly me doing it. So I was, you know, trying to do all the parts of it and keep it going.
Yeah, unless you like what you call the Herculean tasks you got to do and stuff, and very Atlas-like and whatever. But yeah, no, and like once you do that so much, you kind of like it becomes a job for you and stuff, and like, you know, you lose love out of it and stuff, and just like it feels like a chore.
It was a chore at the end, and I lost my love for music, and it took a while for me to get it back. I mean, I still love music, I still go to shows, you know, all the time, especially in Austin and in Corpus when I come down here. But yeah, it was a little bit harder. But for you, so after high school and after your mosh pit, how did you go from, I guess, from there to now?
So I moved from Alice to Corpus to get a degree in like theater arts and stuff at A&M Corpus Christi. But like during that time, I was doing like sound and rigging for like some like the local stuff here, or like actually like for like the campus stuff like at A&M. So I had access to like some stuff like Concrete Street, like getting like tickets. I remember I saw Weezer and the Pantry Disco and stuff, and like I saw the front bottoms, and like I think something football, whatever, American football, something.
I don't know the front bottom's getting the Corpus.
Oh, they do. They got the, I don't know why, they got the access to the big stage at Concrete Street. It was a big show, but like, they weren't the kind of band to have a big stage presence at the time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And like, I think it's American football or whatever, like, they sell stadiums now and stuff.
Yeah, they got new album just came out.
They did, but like, I think tickets like $40, $30 here in Concrete Street.
Yeah.
And like, now they're like, like, extremely famous, but as you know, it's probably a story as old as time in Corpus, like, oh, a band, they played here in a really big venue and stuff at Zeros probably, and like, oh, and like a year or two later they'd come like platinum signing record deals, kind of holding
the Green Days and the 22s and all those shows that people talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so let's segue to that. Can you like talk about some bands that you booked that eventually became like it for a good while and stuff that had that factor to it? But like, I'm just curious hearing like some of the bands you booked from like that.
No, I can't actually.
Okay.
I don't know how many bands I booked. I tell people 2,500 bands in my life. And there's big shows that people come and talk to me about. And I mean, if you know me, you know that I'm not a big fan of metal, but I own the metal and punk venue. So when you ask me about these bands, I don't know the songs they sing. And I was at the shows and I enjoyed it and I love metal now and I understand, all my friends are metal bands. Like what's great and what's not, because I heard a lot of what's not great at my venue and other venues at the time. Because like Concrete Street, I book shows at Concrete Street, I book shows at Surf Club, But you tell me what bands you've heard that were big that played in my venue. I would tell you something that I don't remember about this show.
Yeah, I know, because like I hear like people like, oh, like Norma Jean played here, Under Oath played here, and I was like, yeah, I didn't hear about that show, but I wonder who booked it. And like, that's probably you booking it, right?
No,
really, you booked it?
No, I mean it was in my venue, but I didn't know who Under Oath and Norma Jean were at the time, but I did know who Stephen Gilmore was and who booked it, and people like that, and Bobby Pa, and other promoters that I had that came through there, or Newfo, just people like that know the music, knew those, I guess, whatever tours I went through there. I did book some tours.
Yeah.
I did have some good shows myself, but a lot of the scene is, it's people helping each other out. It's DIY. It's definitely,
Yeah, the unity in the scene and stuff. You still kind of feel it, but it's not as unified as it was before. But the love is still there. Still, I believe.
And some of the guys still around, like I said, Hector Waters, he still books a lot of shows.
Yeah, he does.
Jesse Sachs books some great shows at my venue. So there are some great people out there still trying to push music, still promoting music, still great venues. Like DIY venues like Studio B that you said you were at last night.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, so places still like that exist. People still helping out exist. Say Plain White Tees played at my venue and they had the number one song at the radio.
That's insane.
Yeah, there were some good bands that played at my venue, but a lot of it is just, for me, it was local bands. I booked and I supported local music. The bands that recorded at my studio that I put compilations out with, that was just like great music to me that I think maybe for Dallas, maybe for New York, they were in LA, these bands would have blew up because they were great. They're still great. There's still great music in Corpus. I don't know where the line draws that these bands, you say Shatter Sun, that's a band that, made it out from
Yeah,
Dallas
they did for a good while. Yeah, they toured like United States.
Where the disconnect is, I guess, a little bit easier these days to get your music out with all the platforms and stuff like that. Yeah, but at the time, when you ask me the big bands, I don't know off the top of my head anymore, but I know all the small bands that booked there. I know the bands, like I said, like when I first opened Equalize, it was 3 for 5, Free State, Victim, Downfall, and The Rise, bands like that, and it became a hardcore scene with a lot of hardcore bands. You talk about the Medics, and you talk about people like that, and those are the people I remember, and those are the bands I remember, and those are the great shows, who in turn brought bigger acts into Equalize that people remember. But it's the people I connected with is what I remember the most.
Yeah, the localness of it, and the community that you formed and stuff for a while. Did you feel like you kind of helped you saw local talent, and you kind of gave them the tools to eventually grow into something they would want to show off and stuff, but you gave them the wings to do that?
Yeah, I moved back from Austin. Austin was a great music scene at the time. I don't know about these days, but I was booking shows everywhere, and when my friend said, let's do something together, I wanted an all-age venue. I wanted a place that doesn't matter how old you are, you could come, and have something to do in Corpus. Get off the streets, where you might be doing something stupid, and a place for you to come see something, experience something different, something I didn't have as a kid, that I wanted people to have. So I had a little, mission statement about music and what I wanted. I and what I wanted to do, and just bring community together of all types of music. Like one night, like I said, I booked hip hop before, but you could have hip hop and rock and metal the same night. So I try to fuse everything together and just have I guess just an experience for anybody who's going to come in, see something a little bit different that they might not see.
Yeah, I know those famous quotes like that like Stan Lee says, the comic book guy, whatever, like he says, like, no matter what, treat like your stories like someone's opened up a comic book the first time, this is the first comic book they ever read before in their life. Same thing with like your music thing, you treat it like, how like this would be someone's first experience going to a concert, this is someone's first experience listening to live music and stuff. So you kind of want to make it count,
Yeah. So I dove in, and a lot of people helped me. A lot of people were there for me. A lot of older bands like Right Turn Clyde, Sweet Daddy, Laughing Stock, the older scene that was around, and the older metal scene, and then the new metal scene, and they all meshed together. And I thought it was just a great time to be in Corpus and a great time for music. But what I want to know is, I met you, like most people have met you, is through CC Riffs. How did that come about?
Actually, that started with Matt Hole and Hot Rocking, actually, like the rockabilly guy and stuff. I knew one of the original musicians, I think standing bass player, Keith. Keith's like this guy and stuff. His wife was really good friends with my mom, who was doing cat rescue at the time and stuff. And like Keith's probably mentioned, like, oh, my husband Keith, he was in this really popular band at the time called Matt Hole and the Hot Rod Gang, and I was like, it's interesting and stuff. Like, oh, he used to play like at venues here in Corpus, like it's interesting too. Like, cause I remember like I was telling them how I remember like how my uncles they like went to the Corpus from Alice all the time to see concerts there at a place called Johnnyland in Texas Sky and stuff. So like he's like he was like, yeah, I used to play it all the time. It's like, okay, cool. Then eventually I found out they opened up for the show with Repertoire and Heat and Toys for with the Butthole Surfers. But that show was legendary to my like upbringing, because I always heard stories of that show, like like recounted at like every barbecue and stuff.
Yeah.
But like then between the time like I was talking to Keith and stuff, it's like like asking more about questions and like that. He's like, yeah, my band Matt Hole and my Hot Rock Gang, we're gonna do a reunion show with the original bandmates there at the surf club. So that's how I saw like Keith plays, like it was like big guitar and stuff, and like Matt first time. But like that wouldn't sink in with me until like I moved to Austin for like 6 months and COVID happened. Then like everything shut down. The theater I was working at shut down, so I moved back to Corpus, and then like had a lot of time to kill and stuff. So, like, no, I should like talk to Keith more about music history and stuff. And like eventually I just decided, let me talk to Matt Hole all together, and I got this information down, and I got all these posters and flyers and stuff. Like, this is kind of a big deal, I thought. So I just decided to do it upon myself, so like make a whole like, I don't know if I want to do a foundation or a non-profit or just like some gallery space or whatever. Eventually I did have a gallery space for like a minute.
Nice.
But like I just like, you know what, this is probably an important thing to do. So I just like kind of like made it like a duty of mine, just like to archive or digitize like all this posters and stuff. And like right now I have over 400 posters in my collection that I've scanned and like post on Facebook and stuff. But like you see how like every day I post something different, or I try to at least. I usually like, if I can't sleep or whatever, I just try to like find something new I haven't posted, find like new information and stuff. Eventually, I mean, like, I don't know, like it's gonna happen, but I really want to do like a documentary or like a zine or something like that, or another art gallery and stuff, because I think a lot of the posters, especially at your venue, had like some really some cool like flyer art and stuff. But
not for me, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, like some of people like who booked your venue and stuff, like would do the flyer art themselves. They had Equalize or add Equalize there and stuff. So I consider that a part of you,
Yeah, we talked about my flyer art is all Photoshop, and I just get
was the era.
And just put words on top of it. But that was what I could do. That's what I knew how to do, and that's what I did.
Yeah. You make what you got the most out of it,
Yeah.
That's how it was and stuff. And I think like there's like a huge disconnect. Like people like they see flyer art, they put it like on their walls, something like that, but they don't like appreciate it. Really, they kind of like the labor of love that it goes just to put like a poster together and stuff. It's like it's all editing now and like like Photoshop. Yeah, but back then I see it was all like like stencil cuts, paper, Kinko scan, copy and stuff. And like a lot of these kids did that, and they were like freaking like 12 or 13, like going to Kinko's trying to make like copies of posters for like over like 400 of them. It's like just like get them and shit. But these little posters I thought like were really important to save and archive, because like they're meant to last for like maybe like few months maybe, like tops, maybe like a week or two, something like that. But like they were like just lucky enough that like saved them and shit. And like now it's like super cool to have like an old school flyer poster on your wall, or like save it or sell it on eBay for like $300. But like they never really like take into consideration like how much like effort went into like making that poster.
Yeah, no, for sure. I never thought about it until I met you and you started showing me all this intricate artwork that these people did, where you said they cut and paste and like
exactly
cool poster, and I'm just like, wow, there's a lot to that poster when you start looking at it.
For sure.
So when you talk about like maybe putting something together, I know Richard Gavetto is somebody who for the college times played in bands, and he's done great. He did a documentary about like early Corpus local music. So you're trying to pick up from where he left off? Is that something you're trying to do?
I mean, to an extent, yeah, but I consider Richard like kind of like a really good friend of mine, also kind of like a mentor and stuff, saying like, I was like, hey dude, I got this stuff for your old band and stuff, like, oh, that's cool. It's like, I try to like, you know, like pick you up a little bit, yeah, you're right, but I try to like kind of find more and stuff, because like Richard's like a grown adult and stuff like that, he's like a family and stuff, and like he has work and stuff. For me, I'm just like in my 30s still, so I have luxury of like going all out and like talking to people and like just communicating stuff. But like I feel like, you know, he helped inspire me with this like his documentary stuff. I bought his documentary at a local place, Boozers and stuff, when he did the reunion show with like his actual band, the Crayons and stuff.
Crayons,
like the first hardcore band, like one of the first hardcore bands in Corpus and stuff. They're doing a reunion show and stuff. It was like just like DIYs you can get. Eventually and stuff, I talked to him more. I found out more about his life and stuff, and I figured out like how much like he's like deeply woven into like, you know, Corpus history and stuff. So I just like, you know, try to figure out what he did before and what he did after and stuff, you know.
So you archives flyers, you've been posting them online. Has there been like one or two key people that have helped you like really gather or give you like collections of a lot of flyers from over the years?
Oh I can think of that. I mean, like everyone, like even like it's a small thing, like, you know, I just like they give me like some flyers, like, oh, this is my collection, stuff you can scan it, whatever. But like just like a few people that come to mind is like Arnulfo, who's the band Drastic Action. He booked and played at your venue and stuff. Like his whole garage was an art, like was like a museum. It was like the scene from like Indiana Jones and stuff. Where like everything you can imagine, like from like the very first flyer that he had and made and stuff, like or the very first like etching or sketching stuff he did and stuff, and just like, but it was like binders and binders and binders full of like old flyers and stuff. So I think Arnulfo was like a great like force on me and stuff. And I went to like his taco place, Taco Tacos, for like a long time, and like he would like treat me like family and just tell me stories and shit, like in between like when it's like kind of dead or like there's like a rush. He's like, okay man, I can talk to you for a bit, but I gotta do my shit. But I think Arnulfo was like, his collection got me off the ground. I was able to like post a lot of shit. I had like enough content or like stuff I can like post almost like 4 months and stuff. But like I was like, dude, like go to his place like in intervals and stuff, like 2 hours and stuff. I didn't want to exhaust him. I mean, him was like going like to his garage and like his like storage unit and stuff, and just like get like just flyers and stuff. Some flyers like were immaculate condition. Some of them were kind of like, you know, like dusty and stuff. You know, they're meant to be used and shit. So they showed years of worn and tear and stuff. So I did that. So Arnulfo is also actually Jimmy Smithwick of Really Rottens. He like he showed me a lot of his musical stuff, like playing at like Zeros or like, you know, different venues and stuff. But he's the first person to actually like, besides Matt Hole, to reach out to me and stuff and like tell me like, hey, I can like show you some stuff. So the coolest thing he showed me was like the poster he got at Blink-182 at Backdrafts.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So that poster was like one of the few posters saved from that show that he was telling me that he did and stuff. Cause he used to do sound there at Backdrafts and EJs for a while and stuff. But he used to like, you know, meet all these crazy celebrities, but like he didn't know these celebrities until like later on.
I guess the key with a lot of these people like Hector Waters and Jimmy Smithwick and Arnulfo, and we're talking about people like that, Richard Gavetto, is they span generations of Corpus music. So
exactly.
You know, they're not just like 10 years old, 20 years old. They're like, you know, Matt Hole. It's like, you know, it's like 4 different like, you know, generations of music now at this point. When it comes to decades, it's like they've been playing for a long time. All these people. So you have people like that who just have so much information because they've kept it and they've been in the scene. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was insane. Like the amount of like because like they basically laid the groundwork and the framework too of like having like being able to have like kids like have the luxury of like booking their own stuff and like teaching them how and like guiding them and stuff, because like just like you were saying, like how like there wasn't really like stuff to do as a kid, and then you want to have the same experience that that you wish you had as a kid. Like Richard like booked shows and made shows happen when there was no shows to be had and stuff. It was like the Casey Hall or like Memorial Coliseum and stuff that like just the only time you could see music at.
A great thing is to hear somebody come to me that I don't know and I haven't met, and they say how much it meant to be able to go somewhere at that age in their life and to experience something like that, and that it really shaped them up, and now they're at this point in their life, and they've done this, and it doesn't have to be music. I work here, or I got a degree in one here, but you gave me a place to be. You like showed me what music was like, or I toured in this band, and I got my first show Equalized. And it's pretty cool to hear different stories from different people over the years. So going forward, what are you looking to do with the CC Riffs and everything that you've been working on?
I mean, for now, I'm working on on a zine with a couple of local writers here in Corpus and stuff. That's like on the back burner and stuff. It should be released like by this year, maybe late, like early next year and stuff. But like I've been working on that for a year and a half now and stuff to get the find the OKs and dots like frost and stuff. That's on the back burner. But I really wanted to like do Corpus, but also eventually expand my my kind of like expertise, like all like South Texas areas, like the Valley, McAllen area and stuff like that. I mean, there's people like out there like that zine Wasteland I was showing you earlier and stuff. How like this person like basically like discovered like, hey, we got music history stuff more. We need like archive and like preserve and stuff. So like there's a movement, in the Valley that's like doing the same thing I was doing, but I think they did it a little bit earlier than me, I think. But like it was during the same time and stuff, like during like the COVID area, like pandemic area and stuff,
So I've kept Equalized going over the years. Basically, I think me and Casey House of Rock overlapped a little bit when he opened his venue. And I was looking at, after I closed my venue, I was looking at Texan for a while, and I was doing a couple of shows a year. Now I only really do one show a year at House of Rock, maybe 2 shows a year. I know Hector's still doing a lot of shows under his company, but what about you? You ever thought about booking some shows? You work at House of Rock right now.
I mean, I think I told you, I manage a nonprofit with my high school best friend and stuff, Walking to Inclusion, and like early on, I kind of had to help hand booking shows. I got this band called Updog, their local ska band here in Corpus, and I got them on the bill on my first nonprofit show. But for booking and stuff, I haven't really done my hand and stuff. My friend Joaquin, who books the shows for us, and he gets the local talents, also gets the talents in the surrounding areas and stuff. And we have a local a benefit show for a nonprofit and stuff. But I mean, I buy it and stuff. I see a lot of talented people at House of Rock and stuff. It's like give them a chance. But I'm at this point in my life where I had to reinvent myself and kind of get a more stable form of income now and stuff. But once I have more things laid down, I think might start into booking maybe, or making more galleries and stuff so people can see.
Well, I can tell you, I was fan to friend. I was a fan of yours with what you're doing at CC Riffs, and I've become friends with you.
Dude, for sure.
You got over 7,000 followers on Facebook now.
Followers, yes.
Yeah, you've met a lot of people over the last year just alone, and
yeah, I know.
Everybody keeps talking about what you're doing, and I encourage you to keep it up.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. No, it's I met people online, or say oh, I used to be in the music scene, really, very deeply and stuff. And it's oh, that's cool, man. Do you have any pictures of it? It's like, yeah, I do. And a week or two later, they ask yeah, what's your mailing address? Well, it's this, and I give my PO box, or whatever. It's okay. They mail me just all these vintage flyers, posters, pictures and stuff. I have some suicidal tendencies posters. It's just random stuff that goes for too much money online, but they give it to me because they know it's gonna go to a good home and want to expose it to populations and stuff, the masses, if you will. But yeah, no, it's I don't know why I have that factor and stuff, but people just are kind of drawn to me and stuff, and my enthusiasm and stuff,
You're a collector.
Oh, that too, collector before this,
yeah.
Obviously, no. So I know about preserving stuff, my comic books, my records and stuff, but I never got into flyer collecting until like recent years, maybe 3 years ago and stuff.
Well, that's a big regret of mine, like not keeping memories over the years. Because when you first asked me, do you have flyers and stuff, and I was like, everything mine was digital, and I was like, what was printed out from other people and stuff like that. It was too much going on where I just, had it for a minute and then it wasn't there anymore. I had to clean up my venue. And
I just throw it away.
Not by me, by somebody else. So it sucks that it sucks for me, but I'm glad you're finding the stuff that you're finding, and people keep, like you said, you met Chris Nedick and he showed you all this stuff and
they had this collection,
and stuff like that. So that's cool.
No, my like what I do is it's like that. I like my goal too is I like to return lost memories or good memories that people had before that they lost during the moving or just getting older and stuff, and kind of bring them to them like parts of the past that they lost, and I want to show them they're still around and stuff like that, and make them feel happy because nowadays and stuff, we live in a time of doom and gloom and stuff like that. But there's some forms of joy out there still, I believe.
And I like your forum lets people showcase different stuff, where you got Rodney Mathis, who did a ton of shows, like Mara Costin in the 80s, 90s and 70s, and there's other people who have a big history of local music specifically, so you get a taste of national acts and local music with what you're doing. So
yeah, that's for sure. No, it's when I first started out, I know what to expect, honestly, people to post, I knew that, but I know to what extent, I think it was almost 2 years ago, someone posted a picture of the time AC/DC played here in Corpus with Bon Scott, the first singer. I know, it's insane. Then someone posted a picture of from tickets of the time Iggy Pop played at a small club venue in Corpus called Mars, near Town and Country Cafe. But I was who would post that? I checked the Facebook page to see if they post on personal thing. They didn't. The first time they ever posted this picture, in general and stuff, because it's hidden in their closet.
I think it's a good time to end. I don't want to dive all the way into music with the tangents you can go off to with all the stuff.
For real, I appreciate that.
Maybe we can talk about it a different day.
We do a part 2. We can do another thing, man. Another episode, whatever. We got this. But yeah, it's good talking to you, Dom.
Sounds good, buddy.
Anytime, dude.
Appreciate it.
Dude, I hope this gets through the point.
Let
me see how. 32. That's a good time.